What's up, my YouTube family? I am Jeremy from Weldtec Designs, and today we're going to talk RVs. So we know that you guys love having an RV. You get to go experience and go on trips that you don't normally get to go on, especially in this day and age with COVID and all the craziness. It's like, you know, you just want to get out into the middle of nowhere. You want to go camping, you've bought your motorhome, and you're on your first trip and you realize how low these RVs sit. And we're talking Class C RVs, mostly the Ford Econoline chassis, and we'll get into the Chevy chassis in other videos. But today, guys, I want to talk to you about the Ford Econolines. These are both E450 chassis, and we're going to go through these both. Maybe I'm just rambling. Who knows? Let's talk RVs, guys. All right, so we have two RVs. This is gonna be a Quantum. This RV is gonna have a 29-foot 6 box, and then, no, sorry, 29.3, and this is a 29-foot 6, and this is a Isata. This used to Isata low, if you remember that video. This thing is back for some more fun. We're doing some killer stuff to the back of it. Now you can see that this now has a ton of ground clearance. We're gonna go over some measurements on some before and after and really get a side-by-side comparison, because I know a lot of you guys out there in RV world think, why the hell would I ever lift an RV? That would be the worst idea ever. It's going to drive like poop, and you know, it's just gonna wanna tip over, and that's just not the case. However, we're not going to talk about that today as much as we are clearance and issues. So with the stock E450, if we look underneath this, you're going to see a lot of stuff really hangs really low. And we've done this in other videos before, where you can see these leveling jacks right here just sit low to the ground and have a tendency to want to rub or drag. Now that's also the case in the back, but we're going to start off with the front. So as we come up here, we're going to look at, this is about 5.5 inches from the ground to the leveling jack. So if you have an RV and you want to take measurements on your own RV, we can do this right now, before and after. So we're going to jump over to this Isata right here, and we're going to take a measurement on these jacks. So as I come over here on that, you're going to see I'm at about 12 3/8 of an inch. So a big difference in the leveling jacks and how high they sit. Now I'll tell you, obviously, one big disadvantage of having your RV lifted is you're gonna probably have to put something underneath this jack in order to use it as a stabilizing jack. But here's the good point, is that whenever you get to your camp spot, the jack is still going to be there. It's not going to be damaged. So that's always a plus, way more of a plus. I'd rather carry some blocks or something to set this on anyways, because if I'm out in soft sand, the thing I don't want is this just pressing down into the sand or just into the dirt. If the dirt is soft, it's got any kind of moisture in it. So that is, we're going up and down, up and down. That is a big plus, having that additional clearance. So we're gonna take a fender well measurement so you can kind of get an idea where your RV's at and where it could be with this lift on there. So as we measure this to the fender, we're gonna come in, we're gonna call that 34 3/4 of an inch to the bottom of the fender. And when we come back over here, you're gonna see that's a big difference. So now we're almost like 41, and I'm gonna call that 41.5. And as we look in between these, you'll see the significant difference that there is between the height there with the lift kit on there. So we've done a 6-inch lift kit on this Isata, and the reason it's back is because you can never end. Once you start on these, it just keeps going and going. It's like a van. So let's go to the back of this, because that's the biggest problem on these, is this tail. This tail wants to drag a lot. So let's even take a measurement, and we're coming in at about 9 feet of tail. And actually, if we were to go do this correctly and go from like the center line of the wheel, so really we're going to be about 10.5 feet from the center line of the wheel to the back of this, which this is going to want to drag. And as we come all the way around to the back of this, you'll see that you have the hitch here and these skids, and you know, they haven't been drugged too bad yet, but unfortunately they'll probably never get to drag because we're going to be lifting this as well. But if you want to come in here, we can see that this bottom of the skid's about 15 inches. Now, the biggest problem is you look under there is not necessarily the hitch, but that leveling jack all the way under there. Let's go take a measurement of that jack. So this jack right here is gonna be at about 5 1/8 inches. So this thing really does hang down low. And this is the problem. You get these things that wanna drag over a lot of things. I know even when pulling into a driveway such as ours, that gets very, very close to dragging. We've showed you guys in a ton of other videos just how close that comes, and that's not anything super crazy. I know a lot of the biggest problem people say is, hey, I gotta be careful what gas stations I pull into, because a lot of times gas stations have a really nice transition going into them. So let's go to the back of this Isata and take a measurement on these jacks. So this 31-foot Isata is coming in at about 11 foot 5 inches of overhang. So it does have quite a bit of overhang as well. Here's the thing, when you poke your head under there at first, you're like, well, man, this thing doesn't even have the stabilizer jacks on the back, but it does. They're just way up and out of the way now. And we're coming in at about 15 3/8. So that's huge. We're talking 5 inches to 15 inches in the back. Now, of course, you do have some options on your jacks, and some of them do have different mounting holes, so you can slightly raise them or lower them. So that's always something that's a plus. I know on this particular RV, we're gonna move the mounting holes and slightly move that down because it doesn't quite need that much clearance. So yes, you know, I guess there is such thing as maybe like too much clearance. And I'll tell you the thing that why this is here, we're gonna put bigger tires and wheels on it. So that's gonna even change and even increase the numbers. The thing is with these RVs, they both have the same size tire right now, which is a 225/65/16. So this is why I'm using this as a good comparison to show you these two RVs. Now, I guess one thing we didn't really measure is let's measure the back height of, when we come all the way to the back. Both of these are gonna have a little bit of a taper. This RV in particular is gonna have a really big taper that goes from the wheel all the way to the back. So it's gonna give you more clearance here in the back. So we're coming in at about 23 inches in the back. Now I'll tell you one thing is that on this Quantum, it doesn't quite have that, and let me show you what I'm talking about. So if you notice, this Quantum is something that is really cool. I mean, I love the colors on this thing. I think it's amazing, but this is a full wall slide right here. So it doesn't have quite the difference in the back of it. That's gonna have a lot more storage in the back. But you can see that from the wheel, so let's take a measurement here. And so from the wheel, you're about 6'6" actually, until this starts to taper up. So it's only giving you that slight increase in the back, and we're gonna come in at about 22 inches back there, which that was 23, right? So only an inch difference, and this one isn't lifted yet. So you can imagine this is gonna have quite a significant improvement on the overall back of it. So this just has a more drastic taper in the back of it versus a gradual one. So then it comes down to just models and makes and who's making it and what they're doing. You're gonna probably find that this has a lot less storage in it, and we'll get more into this RV once it's all done. What am I missing here? What else would you guys like to know? I try to do a lot more measurements. I know that's what you guys were asking, you know, measuring the box.
Top of the hood.
Top of the hood?
That's what you did last time.
All right, so let's go measure the top of the hood on this. So then that way you guys can kind of see where you're at there.
I think it was the hood or the bumper. Like top to the top of the bumper, or one or the other you did.
All right, so we're gonna come in here and I'm gonna call that, let's just call that 26 inches, kind of like to the beginning of this crown right here. And then when we come over to that one, we're gonna be at about 32 1/4. So almost 6 inches, you know? So you can see that there is a pretty big difference in there. So if that's something else that you're wondering, or if we were just to pick another point and go, we're 44 inches to the corner tip of the headlight, and when we come over there, we're 51. So a little more than 6 inches, so we're coming up like 7 inches. So You know, they do sit a lot higher. I'm going to be having another video that's going to come out where I actually get to take a customer motorhome, drive it before and after, and do a whole bunch of tests. And you will see just how amazing it is from him firsthand. I mean, I know I keep telling you guys how nice this is, but it's always nice to hear it from the customers as well. I mean, these things just drive amazing when they're done. So if I'm not missing something, or if I am missing something, please comment below. This is kind of just a bunch of measurements to show you where you would be at if you're considering needing a lift or just wanting a lift. Hopefully these measurements will help you out a bunch. I feel like I'm missing something. I don't know, maybe that while you're hanging out here with me, you need to smash that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up because I'm really hoping it was helpful. Like we said, we got all kinds of videos coming up for you guys, and especially you're going to want to check out Growing Up Garage, where you get to see Caden mashing this thing through the desert. I mean, who doesn't want to see that? But I guess that's it. I'll see you in the next video.